All right, we're going to get started here with our meeting. Hello and welcome to everyone. The Hamilton County Solid Waste Policy Committee meeting, Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. As I said, welcome to everyone. We'll do a round robin as we always do, so we know who's in the room. So, Greg, I'm going to start with you.
Greg Kesterman, Health Commissioner at Hamilton County Public Health.
Commissioner Denise Freehouse.
Tony DePuccio, Waste Generator Representative.
Michelle Balt, Solid Waste Manager.
Sue Magnus, City of Cincinnati Representative.
Dominic Peebles, founder of Brick Gardens.
Colleen McSwicken, the Executive Director for Cincinnati Recycling and Reuse Hub.
Brad Johnson, Director of Hamilton County Environmental Services. Kevin Ty, Commissioner of Massachusetts Staff. We're here with folks. Tom Terciano with Rumpke.
Howard Miller, City of Cincinnati.
Lisa Kosas, Legal Voting Voters.
Allie Coderdet, Hamilton County Environmental Service. Dimitri Bigmaya, Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office.
Sarah Mooring, Hamilton County Resource. Sam Plant, Hamilton County Resource. Emma Campbell, Hamilton County Resource.
We have a couple of new faces in the room. Welcome to the new prosecutors. I'm sorry, are you sitting in for just this meeting? All right. Well, Tony Fong, we said hello. Thank you for being here. All right, we'll move to the minutes. Attachment A, I hope you've had an opportunity to review the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
I'll abstain since I wasn't here.
Okay, looks good to me. Any other? Okay, all right, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Okay, we're going to move into public comment, and Marie Kokoshin is with us today. Welcome, Marie.
As always, thank you very much. I'm here today to, oops, I don't have my notes.
We won't start your time until you're at the podium.
I'm here to talk a little bit about Upland Road, which has replied to the RFP that the city put out for their recycling aspect. The obviously what they take to Rumpke currently might go to this facility called Upland Road. Their approach is to have you put everything in a single container. Their information says it's a bag. So no recycling, no separating, no composting, everything goes in one bag. And their claim is that they can recycle 90% of what they take in this one bag. I believe that their track record is not good. They've been in Oslo, Norway since 2016 and Granada, Spain for 2015. So it's a very new concept, I think, and I think that's not a good enough track record. But as I said, they do claim that they recycle 90%. This project defeats the goal of waste reduction and reuse that we've been talking about. We spent how many months doing our new waste program, with solid waste program, that's the Ohio EPA. We didn't talk about this kind of thing. We were talking, so I think that I would like to speak against that and say that the years that we have spent educating people, the 3 R's, recycling, reduce, reuse, we now will add refuse and repurpose. That has been what we are trying to teach people, and to take this new program and tell them, well, no, just put it all in there. It takes away some responsibility that I think people should have for what they buy, what they use, what they throw away, what they try to recycle. And we had proposed, as you know, the 3-bin approach, which once again flies in the face of putting everything in one bag. I mean, your pork chops, your spaghetti sauce, everything they say goes in one bag. They meaning Upland Road. And I think that we know that if you go with a 3-container approach, there are cities that have diverted 70 to 85% of their waste using the 3-bin, the trash, recycling, and organics bin. So that's the thing that we would propose, and we would speak against this as being something that we've been trying to educate people to do this other thing. Now we're going to let them just totally put anything in the bag. And basically the problem that we have with it is, it's unproven technology. And, so it's up to the city to decide if they want this company to do their recycling, or, I guess Rumpke was the other one. These bids are not available to the public, so I don't know who else bid. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marie. And Sue is here on behalf of the city, so carry that message back.
Yes.
All right, then next, I don't have any other public comment. Brad, is there anybody?
There is not.
Okay. We're gonna move to policy items for discussion. So the first one is the waste generator representative position. And so I will kick this off, and then Michelle, turn it to you by way of, the nuts and bolts of what we need to do here. But as you know, we all have, certain term limits related to our positions here on the board. Tony DiPuccio's term is, bless you, is set to expire, and so Tony has decided to leave us, after many years of service. And so, first of all, Tony, I want to thank you for your years of service. I know there are too many to count, but thank you for being here at the inception of this organization and, hanging in there with us as we gone through many iterations of the work. Sorry to see you go, but I'm certain you have other things, on the horizon that will take up your time.
I do, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner, very much. I'll sort of tell you what I told, Commissioner Fortune when I left previously is, I've learned far more here than I feel like I contributed, so it's a great organization. It's always been a great staff.
Your service has been very much valued, so I really appreciate you hanging in there with us. So I'm going to turn it over to Michelle by way of process to, fill the vacancy.
So May will be Tony's last meeting, so, hopefully there will be a vote in May. Typically, the last few times that we've had these, we've had, 2 policy committee members have volunteered to be on the interview committee. We just put today the form, that interested parties would fill out, that they were interested. So we will have a write-up and we'll promote it. We have lists. This representative is, really, supposed to be kind of a business interest representative. Typically, we've had large industries like St. Bernard Soap, JTM, be involved. So, you know, those kind of folks are who we're targeting this position to. We have a list of businesses. Certainly, Mary and Kristen will get the word out to their business contacts. I will send out an email to all the policy committee members, so if you know of anyone who's interested, and it'll have a link to the form that's on the website. We will have that form available until the end of March, so March 29th, I think is the deadline. And then we will, I'll send out whoever volunteers, I'll send the applications, which is really like a form, a website form that people have filled out, usually with a resume attached, and choose a few people to interview. In the past, we've done Zoom interviews and in-person interviews, so whatever the committee prefers. Hopefully by the May meeting, those 2 policy committee members will have an idea of who they, would.
Remind us who the 4 statutory members are.
So it is, Matt Wallert, Greg Kesterman, Denise Treehouse, and Sue Magna.
All right, so we generally have 2 people serve on that committee.
And those are the 4 who vote on who would be appointed. That doesn't mean that those are the only 4 who could be on the interview and recommend.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so do you need volunteers now, or should we?
I do.
You do?
I'd be happy to help with that.
Anybody else like to volunteer to be on the committee?
I can do this well, or
That's fine, go ahead. Well, we can have more than arm wrestle.
probably can't.
I think we can do up to 3, because that would not be a quorum.
Up to 3. Okay.
Commissioner, I'd like to, if I can. I can't vote on it.
Right, so we take the 3rd, though.
Right now, I've only written down Colleen.
All right.
Arm wrestle, thumb wrestle, however you want to do it.
I lost.
Do we need 2 statutory members now?
No, not, we just need, the vote has to be the statutory
I see.
members, but anyone can make up the committee.
Okay, very good. All right, so
Recommendation.
1, would anyone else like to volunteer? better.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And Michelle, because we've had kind of slow applicants, can we do outreach to the industrial generators?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, we have a really good list from the plans that we sent to, so, honestly, this is the hardest position to get someone to volunteer their time in the
I know.
business community, so.
Because they're already busy.
Yeah.
You've done an outreach almost every time, yes, sir, go ahead.
And we can all promote as well.
Yeah.
So, yes, please get that to us with the links and,
Sure.
and we'll push it out. Okay, thank you, and thank you again, Tony, for your service. Informational items, I skipped, didn't I? I'm like, boy, this is going fast. I skipped over item number 4, which is the resource revenue updates and analysis attachment B. Sure,
So, this is just the 2023 revenue compared to the 2022 revenue. And it's actually very consistent between the 2 years. It's less than a 1% increase or 0.39% increase. So we had a decrease of about 7,000 tons of in-district waste, again, less than 1%. We had an increase of 12,000 out-of-district waste, which is about a 1%, and a decrease of about 4% out-of-state waste. So the 2023 total revenue was about 14,000 increase over 2022. So fairly consistent between the 2 years.
Any questions? Okay, very good. Before we get to informational items, Deputy Dump has entered the room. Welcome. Would you please come forward and give us an update or a report?
I think Ray was gonna present that.
Oh, all right. Didn't mean to.
He can certainly ask.
Deputy Company.
Yeah.
So is this under our informational items?
Yeah, that's,
Oh, I see. It's item number D. We're skipping to item number D.
All right, so I did want to kind of, in the last meeting, Corporal Peak had mentioned that he's starting to find some obstacles. I kind of wanted to give you both a big picture view of the program over the last 5 years, and then also kind of drill into the weeds a little bit with where we are right now. So back in 2018, when the program started, so we're past 5 years now, really the biggest issue was getting the word out, making sure that all the communities knew that Deputy Peak was available, what his role was. So we were really trying to get those complaints up. And over the years, we went out to public works meetings, we met with communities, we met with other leaders in the different communities. And the good news is that we do have complaints where we think they should be. But the bad news is, when you get complaints, then sometimes you have to start to evaluate what are the complaints, what we're trying to get, or are we getting complaints that are making Corporal Peak's job a little bit more difficult. The simple answer is that he has been getting more complaints that don't necessarily lead to enforcement. So we started to drill in and say, okay, what exactly is causing these additional complaints that he's getting, and what can we do administratively to help alleviate some of those? So really what it comes down to is we knew technology might be an option to help along with that. So last year we met with CAGIS, and CAGIS gives him the ability to go in and look at what other inspectors may have said for previous complaints. Or he can look at a property and say, oh, wow, okay, the city's been out on that property 5 times already. I can reach out to so-and-so. Or if he knows it's already been addressed, he doesn't even have to take that complaint on. So if an inspector with the city of Cincinnati is already investigating and it's being handled, there's no reason to duplicate those services. So that's one of the areas that we're still working on. We've made some progress, but another area that I think is going to be a little bit more vital this year, and that's why I'll let you speak on this as well, is we know that 80% of the complaints come in the city of Cincinnati, which was a little bit of a surprise. We really expected early on we'd be getting more out in the outer areas, and we have increased that a little bit, but we realized that with all those complaints in the city of Cincinnati, let's really focus in on that area and see how can we get those complaints either down or more valid complaints. And what we found is because Corporal Peak's available now, the city of Cincinnati sometimes kicks in things that they can't quite figure out. So I'll give you an example. An example would be, say there's a zoning issue where somebody has, dumping or they're not, maintaining their, property, in the proper way. So in that case, your staff, Greg, could go out if it's in, your area, or the city of Cincinnati might go out. Good news is your staff does an incredible job. We are gonna work with the city of Cincinnati, with their health department, because there's some miscommunication with some of those complaints. But the bigger issue is, if an investigator goes out and finds, say the property has issues, and the homeowner says, well, those aren't from me, somebody's dumping on my property. Well, the investigator may say, well, we have an environmental enforcement program at the county level, so then they kick it to, Corporal Peak. Well, the unfortunate thing is, that's not real, Corporal Peak can't help in that situation. That is more of an issue for the homeowner that they need to handle. Now, there are certain, circumstances where maybe it could, like if there's, some type of tire connection or something where he could follow up and investigate. Unfortunately, most of the time when he gets those complaints, that isn't the case. So he ends up, I don't want to say spinning his wheels a little bit, but he ends up doing a lot of extra paperwork and gets no results. So this year, what we're gonna be doing, and, he's already started this, is he's meeting with each of the neighborhood, liaison, sergeants. So each of the, police, districts have, sergeants in charge, so when he meets with them, he can let them know what the expectations of the program are. And Brian, I don't know, have you started that process already?
March the 7th.
Okay. So he's in the process of doing that, and what Michelle and I are working on with Brian is to meet with the other, departments. So whether it's zoning, Keep Cincinnati Beautiful, and all the other entities in the city of Cincinnati, what can we do to make this, more efficient and get him complaints that he can, take to enforcement? That's kind of where we are, because I know there was some talk about adding another deputy. I think we're a little early in that process. I think maybe after this year, we'll have a better idea how this shakes out, because it is possible that this might be an ongoing process that we have to keep communicating with, these different, entities, because as we know, there's always turnover. So as soon as you train somebody, it might be an opportunity where somebody else new comes on, but we need to make sure we, take each of those opportunities to improve the process. Corporal, anything else you wanted to add to that? I know we get out on, presentations and things too, so, Commissioner, if the county has anything, or anybody on the policy committee has any, partnership with somebody where you think this could come in handy, please communicate that over to us. All right, any questions for me? Yes, Tony?
So, for governmental units outside of the city of Cincinnati, they tend to, not contact, Corporal Peak and handle it themselves.
Why don't you come up here, be on mic?
It depends upon the township, Tony. Most of the time, the township has a zoning official or somebody that deals with their zoning stuff or complaints, unsightly property, et cetera. And if they have their own municipal court that they can cite to, they will handle it there. If not, then they call me, because then everything I do goes downtown to, the main courthouse. They tend to handle their own. We've been out with all a lot of the municipalities over the last year and a half, in regards to me, what I do, the hard card that, Michelle had developed, my business cards, just explaining my role, my lane, and what I can help you with. We don't jump into the arena of having a zoning issue conflict, et cetera. But like what Brad was saying is, over about the past year and a half, and it could very well be, like Brad said, maybe due to turnover within the city, whether it be an inspector, whether it be a neighborhood liaison officer, maybe just don't know, but I'm, in all intents and purposes, no pun intended, getting dumped on something that they just, if they can refer it to me, then it's off of their plate, and I don't have a magic wand. I've had folks contact me because the city, if they get a complaint on private property, they will show up and they will cite $500, okay? You can go to mediation with them to try to have that alleviated. Well, that inspector then says, well, the county has an environmental investigator, that can maybe help you. Well, that's fine, but in doing these, this is not something potentially that has just happened in the last month. This is property that now has been here for years. I don't have a magic wand, you know what I mean? There's no way for me to know where this is coming from, but that referral is coming to me, and some of these folks that own these properties have numerous properties, and they have my phone number, and Brian, you need to come out and help me.
we have cameras up in certain areas, and I do go and do that, I do my due diligence in meeting with these folks, but it's just a revolving door essentially on some of them, Tony, that just, it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed so that they know what my responsibilities are, what my capabilities are, in addition to that, how I can assist them. Cincinnati Beautiful provides me with a lot of what I get into the city. And most recently, we had, where they are now dispersing and sending out to the districts, because each district has a neighborhood liaison unit, sergeant, and then 3 or 4, policemen underneath them, because they're in the community, they're expected to know the community.
I'm sorry, that's with the Cincinnati Police Department?
That is correct. And I work with them. Like year 2 and year 3, we had this meeting down at 115 Bates where we would all show up in a room. Captain Newdigate from the city would show up. We would all explain ourselves. What are you having here? What, how can we help each other? Well, ACB sent an investigation, if you will, of a dumping incident to a District 2 sergeant, the NLU sergeant. And then Ron Schaus with the Port Authority was on the email too, because they had about $15,000 in cleanup. And they got back to me about, well, Brian, do you have any idea who did this or how long it's gonna take to find somebody? And I looked back and I didn't get the referral. I looked again, realized that the email had gone straight to the city sergeant. The city sergeant then designated somebody to do it, and an hour and a half after they got it, they called our tip line to give it to me. So, little screw up. I mean, I get it, maybe this individual doesn't know, maybe the sergeant doesn't know, but, as Brad has discussed, and we just need to kind of tighten it up so that they're aware, just because if it's given to the city, it's their expectation to follow up. If they can't do it or if they need help, I mean, I can assist them, don't get me wrong, but, they try to divvy it up amongst myself and then them. I'm a unit of one. You would expect that those folks would know the community, neighborhood liaison unit, which is, why they were maybe chosen to be that officer. I just can't go sit in a specific community looking for one truck for 2 days straight, because that puts me so far behind, whereas those folks are in the community by their designation, they may stumble across a truck way sooner than what I would. So we're trying to just hammer out those facts. I'm not trying to pile it on the city, but it's just, for some reason as of late, it's kind of gotten out of whack. And I don't know why. Maybe it's turnover, maybe it's new folks, or maybe it's new, supervisors, or maybe they just don't know where to turn.
So the city of Cincinnati doesn't really have like a counterpart to you?
No, sir.
They've got one person
No, sir.
focused on that specific.
And I've worked with the NLU sergeants. 3 of them I've worked for when I was a detective before, and even on the motorcycle unit. So 3 of them I know quite well. And sometimes they do their own investigation and don't even confer with me other than choosing a court date, which is fine. You know what I mean? I don't need to be involved. The irony here is anything that happens in the city, I cite under the city's municipal code. So, their own people can be doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so we're just trying to straighten it out a little bit, if you will. It's just we've had some reoccurring incidents, and we log everything that comes into the tip line because it shows that folks are reaching out to us with a problem or a concern, and how do we remedy it, how do we fix it? So we don't discard it. So anything that comes to me in the tip line, but then, in reading through it, I'll think, well, oh great, this person's just upset with the city because they're not getting their satisfaction. So where else, get out your Google machine and look, oh, well, the county's got an investigator, whereas they may have already investigated it 2 months ago. I have no knowledge or record of it, you know what I mean? And I don't, if they can't figure it out, I don't have that magic wand that's all of a sudden, the county sheriff's deputy is that far superior.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, Brett. Right, the 2023 Household Hazardous Products Collection.
Yes. So, Share Mooring has prepared a presentation, and before Share starts, I just wanted to give her kudos because we, putting together a household hazardous products collection event is difficult. It takes a lot of time, there's a lot of challenges, and Share not only, put together a countywide event, but she also, put together 5, smaller events with communities as part of the community pilot, which is what she's gonna go over. So she engaged Bradford, did an amazing job, and you know, there definitely were challenges, Cher's gonna talk about that, but, just huge kudos to her.
So, yeah, we discussed that the challenges are that, you know, with having a 1 or 2 day program, it really does, it's not very accessible. You have to have a card to get to the program. It used to just be on a Saturday, but, once we got to the point where we filled up a whole Saturday, we started making it a 2 day event where it's a Friday and a Saturday, but, again, still not great as far as accessibility. So, Gage and I went to Cuyahoga County where they have, communities that actually do collection events. So this year we piloted, with 5 communities doing their own collection events along with our big 2 day event. So next slide, please. So at the main event, the 2 day event, we had 1,478 attendees. We actually didn't count each one, but we're pretty sure that's a pretty accurate number. Collected 66.4 tons of material. And something that was really exciting is when we did a, survey after the fact, 40% of the people who attended, it was their first time. So yay. Next slide. For the community events, we had 5 events, with a total of 176 attendees, collected 7.5 tons of material. The event locations they were Whitewater Township, the village of St. Bernard, the village of Woodlawn, city of North College Hill, village of Addison, and Carthage, was where the main event was, the big event. So out of the 6 locations, 3 of them were identified as environmental justice communities. So, it was nice to get them in those communities. 2 of the smaller events, the one in Whitewater Township in the village of St. Bernard, were actually also combined with other collection events. So Whitewater had a, community cleanup event that they have every year also, and it was St. Bernard. It was either St. Bernard or Woodlawn. Also collected, latex paint separate from what we were doing. They had a contact with Matthew 25 Ministries. They actually collected 4 Gaylord boxes full of latex paint. They were a little overwhelmed with it, but, but anyway, next slide. So the exciting thing is that we actually did reach a higher percentage of the community. So, like I said, 2 of the communities, it was combined with other collection. If I took those communities out, it was actually 0.5%, for the smaller community events, but that's still more than double what we reached at the, main event. So we were really pleased with the fact that we are reaching a higher percentage of the people. Next slide.
I'm sorry, how did you, what was your basis for the population reach?
So we based it on, the total population of the communities and how many people showed up.
Okay.
It did come at a higher cost per person. So for the main event, it averaged out at $1.72 per person. For the community events, it averaged out at $2.71 per person.
Per pound? Per pound, not person? Pound?
No, per
It says
person.
per
Oh,
pound.
per pound, I'm sorry. Per pound, yeah, no. I wish it was only that per person. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it was per pound. Oh. It was this per person. So, yeah, per person, the main event was was approximately $152 per person, and the community events were, $246 per person. So, next slide, if we were to have 0.7% of Hamilton County residents use community events. This is what it would cost us. So, next slide. We looked at ideas to cut costs. Because we really like these community events. We would really like to do them. We like that they're convenient. We like that, we got more people, you know, that didn't, you know, use the program. We like that some people walked to the, location. Some people had, wheelbarrows that they brought their stuff in. You know, it was some of the stuff was really nasty stuff that had been in their, you know, garages for, you know, since their great-grandparents lived in the houses, you know, especially out in Whitewater Township.
Yeah.
I mean, so one way to really cut costs is to stop taking items that there's free outlets for. So oil, gas, oil mixes, and kerosene. There's places, in cooking oil, there's places that want that material. They use it to heat their buildings with it. So, you know, by us collecting it, we're not only paying to get rid of it, but we're, you know, shipping it far away to be used by someone else when it could be used here in our community by someone who wants it. The fire departments are taking rechargeable batteries thanks to the hub and the Rumpke program. Car batteries actually have value to them. You can take them places and actually get money for them. CFL can be taken, and these are things we get a lot of. CFLs can be taken to Home Depot or Lowe's. Propane tanks and fire extinguishers both have free outlets, and we've got a ton of propane tanks. Next slide. Stop taking cylinders, tanks, and cartridges. We spent over $60,000 just on these kinds of things, stuff like helium balloon tanks and CO2 cartridges and tanks, stuff so you can make your own sodas at home or use paint guns. Next. So the communities, we let them decide how many hours they wanted to have these events. In Cuyahoga County, they have the communities do their own collections, and let them do their own separating. And what we learned, we weren't really comfortable just doing that this first year. And what we learned when we were on the ground is there's some stuff that comes in that looks really benign, you know, like glass wax, that has really scary stuff in it. And I don't even know what was scary in it, but I know that, you know, the professionals' eyes were bulging when they read it. You know, they were like, you know, putting it in a bucket all by itself. And it's stuff that the average Joe just doesn't know about. So I'm not particularly comfortable having the communities just do these collection events by themselves. But we are paying Clean Harbors by the hour to staff these events. So when they were having like a 6-hour event and they had, you know, like 30 people coming, there was a lot of downtime. But if we reduced the hours to like a 3-hour event and we just had Clean Harbors there for that amount of time, I really think we could get a bigger bang for our buck, because that was a big expense of the event. And then just keep encouraging reduction. We got a ton of batteries. I mean, rechargeable batteries are nothing like they used to be. They really work well. There's rechargeable units that recharge all different types of batteries. Really encourage people to measure before they buy things and share things with their neighbors. You know, I don't know how many people have, like, they buy a can of wasp spray and they use it once and it sits in a cabinet forever, and I don't know, I'm not big on killing any kind of pollinator, but, you know, it's you know, what happens. And quite honestly, I would prefer that we encourage people to hire professionals if they're gonna be spraying a bunch of poisons, whether it's insecticides or pesticides or herbicides or any of that stuff, and then they don't have leftover stuff. So just to keep trying to encourage people to reduce the amount of hazardous stuff that they buy and store in their house in the first place. That's my presentation. Questions?
So I have a question. So when you talk about reducing costs, what is the budget and what are the expenses?
So-
Labor is a big expense.
Yeah, so, the budget is, about $200,000. And, this year, we spent, we haven't gotten in all of the bills yet, and we've spent $262,000. And the hope was that we were gonna have 10 events, community events this year. I don't know that we're gonna be able to do that.
So what are the expenses?
So the expenses are, the handling of the materials that is collected, the labor of, Clean Harbors, and the, materials and the you know, the trucks and everything that come out to dispatch to collect the materials. And then there's also the expense of the, deputies that we have to hire to direct traffic, the extra employees that we have to hire to direct traffic, and then just different incidentals during the event. Sometimes we also have to pay a rental cost for the location of the event, especially for the big event, which is also getting more and more difficult to find. We're having situations where some places are saying they don't want to have hazardous waste collected on their property.
So, have you seen the events that Northern Kentucky does
I have not.
at all? So we had a group that volunteered down there. They do theirs like first, Saturday in November every year. And they have it at the Florence Freedom Stadium. They had, I wanna say probably 150 people or more. And probably 100 of those were just volunteers from high schools, from, like we brought like 10, 12 people, other organizations that are just in Northern Kentucky, like Fidelity sent people. I think, I can't remember how much, and that's why I was trying to look it up on my phone. I don't know what their budget is, but we had a heck of a lot of people going through and a heck of a lot that was able to, I mean, it was like truckloads of, electronics and all of that other stuff as well. And I wonder, so like when we do the events here, I seem to remember it being something where people had to sign up and say, hey, this is where I'm from, and like prove that they're from the area before they could get the location. Whereas down there, they pretty much say, if you're from one of these counties, where it is, show up.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that wouldn't help increase the amount of people coming, just because more people know, like ahead of time, where is it gonna be, get it on the calendar and things like that. 'Cause and Northern Kentucky, I don't know how long they've been doing this, but they have the system down, where we had 4 lanes, for about 7 cars each, volunteers and people from their different waste areas directing and stuff.
So our contractor, we only had one person bid on the program, one contractor, and, they specified how many people that they could accept per hour.
Okay.
And
Couldn't do it, yeah.
yeah, I mean, we could have accepted more people on Saturday, but, if we don't space them out,
Yeah.
then, at one point on Friday, the line was almost backed out to the street.
Yeah.
And we're having yeah, you know, finding places to have the event with enough space to.
Yeah, and that's why, and that was the beauty
And-
of the
and, like-
stadium, 'cause I mean, they loop tubes all the way around the stadium, like in, I think, 2 or 3 lines coming around. And then depending on whether they had household hazardous waste or just electronics, they went one way or the other. I mean, it was, I can talk to them, or if you wanna talk to them directly and just kinda say, pick their brains and say, can you, any other way of doing this? I mean, maybe like, maybe you'd be willing to give the Fit House area or something like that for the lots, but
I didn't have luck getting the lot last,
Gotcha.
we used to use their lot, but
Okay.
yeah, last time I tried to get their lot, they kinda said, yeah, so.
Where did the five locations, were those on like village property or city property?
Mhm.
So they had,
Have you looked at the fairgrounds?
That's where we had it last year. Yeah.
Okay, so you're on county property now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that didn't work out, we can't, Clean Harbors, it didn't work out for Clean Harbors there, they don't wanna have it there again, so.
Why?
There were just some issues with the parking lot and some restrictions that didn't work for them
well, they
there.
don't have any, 'cause that's one of the beauties of Northern Kentucky, is they've got one way in, one way out, and everybody's just in
Okay.
one loop, whereas with fairgrounds, I could see where we'd get back there really quickly.
Yeah, there were a few different issues, I think, you know, we maybe would have been able to work, but Clean Harbors said that they would not do it there again.
Well, it does,
I'll ask you one other question, it's probably liability issues, probably too great, but you mentioned the idea of people sharing, buying, don't use. I don't know if you could do a material sharing or exchange, whatever you wanna call it, there, that's probably a liability issue.
So I talked to Clean Harbors about that, so Gage and I were at every single one of those community events the whole time. So the household hazardous products events was not particularly my favorite job. But I learned, I really learned to, love it a lot more working these community events, because I was in there and I saw what was coming in, and this stuff is some really nasty, scary stuff that people have in their houses. And it's not stuff that they've accumulated, it's stuff that's just been left there or, you know, whatever, and a lot of the stuff is brought in, you don't know what's in that container, you know. Clean Harbors doesn't know what's in the container, you know, it's like,
You answered my question.
yeah.
Is the stuff coming in the community locations more expensive to dispose of than the stuff coming in the larger locations?
So what's more expensive is the labor cost of having Clean Harbors there.
I was more curious, like, because you're getting some weird stuff from basements in the smaller communities.
No, it's just that, when you factor in how much we have to pay, like, Clean Harbors staff to be there to help sort through it, per hour, that's why it really, you get a bigger bang for the buck with the big events, and yeah, basically that's why, the cost of getting rid of the material is the same, whether it's the big event or the community events. It's just the labor cost is what's more expensive.
Yeah, how many people it's spread out over.
Yeah.
so yeah, I really appreciate you working on this, because it is such horrible stuff that people need to get rid of, and these programs allow people to do it in the right manner instead of dumping it somewhere, to get rid of it. I do agree with you, like, shortening the hours and scheduling, I hate the idea that they were just standing around for paying these guys, so it's like hopefully getting the scheduling more denser, so they're not just standing around twiddling their thumbs.
Well, and another thing we talked to some of the communities and said, hey, would you be willing to allow, like, people, like, like, partner up with the communities around you, and they said they would, and Clean Harbors is open to that too, so like, maybe like, you know, 2 or 3 small communities go in together for it, yeah.
But then on the reusable stuff that has value, it's, you know, ideally, I mean, like, if it was reusable kerosene, like, why can't that be taken to the side and then given to that other company?
Well, and that's what they do for Northern Kentucky too, so there's somebody there that specifically takes like the oil, like cooking oil,
Right.
motor oil, all of that kind of stuff too, for reuse.
I mean, the amount of space we would need
Yeah.
to be able
would
to
have to
segregate
deploy
that
freedom.
stuff out for all the
Parking
different
lot.
people
Yeah.
that would take that stuff. I mean, as it is, like, finding a location with enough space even to snake people around that is centralized, you know, because like when we had it out at, what was it, considered Delhi or, I mean, we got tons of complaints about people having to drive out there.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, like, we would have, we would, you know, we would, if it's, and anything centralized, there's just not the space.
Yeah.
There's just no space for that.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to schedule it, because,
Yeah.
you know, we can't have,
Right, yeah.
and on Friday, during our busiest time, and when the trash trucks were, you know, we got nothing but compliments on our survey afterwards, except for, there was an hour when the traffic backed up, and we got tons of complaints on the survey about that 1 hour when people had to wait for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the issue with Xavier?
I could not get them to contact me back.
Gotcha. But nobody.
We used them a few times, for the event, and then, they started charging us for it too, and, like having, you know, wanting insurance requirements and stuff like that, which our vendor, you know, could take care of, but, then eventually, I mean, I just kept hounding them, and I could not get them to contact me back for anything.
But there's a lot of factors that come into play, and I mean, it may be that their insurance coverage is like, not doing it.
Yeah, and I've been having more and more challenges with people saying that they don't want to have the event.
Yeah.
At their location, so that's been another
Yeah.
big challenge too.
Yeah.
Chair, one last question is, those costs you cited, did the district have to reimburse any of the 5 outlying community costs?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we took all, we paid for it all, yeah. They did the promotion, they, typically had some staff there to help, most of them did, but Clean Harbors wasn't particularly comfortable with having them back there sorting through stuff, so Gage and I were doing stuff, but, honestly, you know, it just, some of the stuff that came in, you know, it just doesn't look scary at all, and then, you know.
And then you read it and it's got sulfuric acid or,
I feel like, hey, maybe not.
I think having volunteers do that sorting is not.
Yeah,
Yeah, you've got somebody trained who has to have that
Yeah.
role, because of the hazardous nature of the material.
However, traffic control is another ballgame, right? You've got sheriff deputies guiding volunteers to manage traffic, that.
well, yeah, and having volunteers manage traffic is, you know, is okay, but I don't like to have volunteers, standing at the road, bringing cars in and out. I don't want volunteers to stop traffic, you know, because there's a line of cars, you know, that need to go in and out. I need, and it's really getting very difficult to get sheriffs, signed up for it too. Like, I mean, like, it was like the last minute to get one. I had requested, I think I started off with requesting 3 or 4, and I got 2 the first day and just 1 the second day. And the second day, it was like down to the wire. There's just, they're short-staffed, and it was really and it was like that the year before too. So now I'm trying to find a location where there's a separate entrance and exit and traffic lights at each, because I'm afraid at some point I'm not gonna have two sheriffs, you know, or one sheriff in traffic. I'm always like calling Deputy Pete. You on vacation this week?
Got any free time?
Any ideas?
Thanks for your efforts.
Yeah, the finding the location is challenged. I think that's why a lot of communities have come up with their permanent locations,
Yeah.
to make this, so that it's not the challenge every year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to get built sooner rather than later, so you can take this off your plate, so, yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a whole other discussion of location for that, but,
And co-locating with the hub.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's one of our plans.
So for this budget year, the money's been spent, more than the money's been spent.
Yeah, fortunately, we had some money left over from last year, and I begged our accountant not to close that PO.
Okay,
They don't like to do that, but they
So we'll have more conversation come budget time as to how we wanna proceed related to budget, locations also, but it's helpful to have the update.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, next is the waste characterization or organic feasibility studies update.
So I thought since we have 3 big studies going on, it might be helpful to just sort them out in your brains, and then also kind of give you a quick update on them. This doesn't take very long. So we have 3 studies going on where we have hired 3 different consultants to do things. The first, so these are the 3 studies: residential waste characterization, commercial waste characterization, and organics processing feasibility study. So the residential one, we do this every 5 years. So we have 2012, 2018, and then we have now. This, if you remember, back when the policy committee was discussing this, you decided you wanted to add a recycling component to this as well. So we're not only doing waste, we're doing recycling characterization study. The consultant for this is MSW Consultants. We've worked with them before. They're doing a 2-season study. So the first season is already completed. They did in November 2023. They went both to the MRF and sorted material there, and they went to Rumpke landfill and sorted material there. And so they spent about a week, and then they will come back and do a spring study. The reason is not so much for the recycling, but for the garbage. It really does change seasonally. If you have yard waste in there, if you don't, what time of year it is. So having two seasons makes it a more valid study. And this study, they are sorting about a third of the waste out with the Cincinnati specific, so we'll have those numbers again. So this is about a $68,000 contract. Any questions on the residential study? So in the recycling side, is there a waste sort in the residual? I don't think so. They're just sorting what people are putting in the carts. And they're not sorting what's going through the MRF. They're sorting what they're going to before. Yeah, before it becomes residual. Okay, thank you. So they will know what contaminants. Okay. So the commercial waste characterization study, we don't usually do this because this is a really hard sector. You can go to the landfill and you can sort what's there, but it's really hard to say because sectors are so different. Office waste is so different from restaurant waste, et cetera. So we wanted to find a way to do this because this plan puts so much emphasis on the commercial sector. Unfortunately, we would need like $1 million to go around and do all of the, to sort at restaurants, to sort at every type of business. So we did not have that kind of money. So what we did was, the consultant for this is SCS Engineers, and we worked with them. We're going to do the first part, which is almost finished, is a desktop analysis. So there are places that have $1 million to do, characterization studies on different sectors. And so they are evaluating those already existing studies and highlighting which sectors are going to have the most organic. So this is a very organic focused study. They're looking at which ones which sectors do we want to focus on that could potentially have the most organics? And then the second phase is going to actually be physical audits. So they're partnering with Rumpke, and they will do I think restaurants are going to be one of the ones we picked. Rumpke will do a restaurant-only pickup, and then bring it to a location, and SBS will sort through that, and this is the makeup of a general restaurant waste. So this is really focused on those organics. So the first phase, like I said, Mary and I are almost at the point where we're taking their data and picking which audits we want to do, and then they will work on the second phase, and that will really depend when they can get out here, when Rumpke can do the sorts. But we expect May, June, for that study to be complete. And that was 115,000. Any questions on that? The final one, and I have 2 slides for this one, is the organics processing feasibility study. The GT is the head consultant. They actually have a whole team of consultants that they're working with. And this is 3 phases. This is 142,000. And we're really excited about this study. This did come out of the solid waste plan. So I know, I'm sorry, this was a lot, but just wanted to kind of break up. There's 3 phases of this study. The first phase is really looking at what waste do we have, what organic waste do we have that needs to be processed, what processing capacity is already there, and like getting the balance of that, right? Like what do we need? What facilities do we need to process this? Another really cool piece of this is the municipal case study. So part of the team is Nora Goldstein, who's the editor of Biocycle, and she's going to put together 6 case studies that are really going to be for our townships and cities and villages of once we get a facility, how they could engage with that facility. So she's very knowledgeable of what already is out there. So this is a model where you could have, food scrap drop-offs. This is if you already have yard waste collection, incorporating food scraps into your collection. So it's really going to be for them to be able to engage with that and actually do something with it. After the first, and there's going to also be visioning sessions. We're having the first one on Monday with all the solid waste districts in our region to talk about what are their vision, what are their capability, could we do that, are they interested in engaging in this? The second phase, and this, I have dates on here, but there's going to be some overlap. They're not all, it's not going to all start and stop like this. The second phase is really going to take that information from the first phase and really look at what technologies are out there, what kind of facilities do we want to have, and do some public partnership case studies. And then have some regional meetings. So once we have an idea of this is what we want to do, bring in stakeholders again and say, okay, this is what we're thinking. What's your reaction? Do you think this is going to work, kind of thing. The third is siting. And so this is pretty barren right now because we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know if we're doing multiple facilities, one facility, what kind of facility. But that is Moody Engineering out of Columbus. David Moody is going to be doing that piece of it, and so he's already actually doing a little bit of work, but most of his work is going to be in the summer. Any questions on that?
So are you aware of the organics facility that's being contemplated out in Harrison?
Yeah. That's Divert.
Yeah, just want to make sure that we're,
they're going to be part of that. Okay. And that is my update on our study.
Questions? Great, thank you. USDA CFRW grant update.
Sorry for all the acronyms. I just wanted, really, this update is in writing already. I just wanted to let you know that we did receive the USDA grant. They publicly announced it, so we're allowed to publicly talk about it. This is a $400,000 grant with a $100,000 match from us. The city of Cincinnati also received a comparable amount, and so we'll be working closely with Robin. So that's, $1 million invested in local organics infrastructure. I wanted to thank Dominique for introducing us to Celeste with the Heights Movement because she was one of our partners. So we have 3 sites, 2 in Hamilton County, 1 in Claremont County, and they're all centered around agriculture sites, so places that are doing farming so that they have a place that they can use this, the finished compost. And really the grant puts in the infrastructure that they need to scale up a little bit, right? We're not creating regional facilities in these locations, it's just, hopefully, for example, Lincoln Heights is gonna be able to handle, the organics coming out from Lincoln Heights residents, and that's what they're focusing on. So, we're really excited to work on this. Unfortunately, they're kind of holding us back. They're saying, we have to get contracts, we have to, but everyone's really excited, and all three partners are, really looking forward to moving forward. So, just wanted to let you know that that's happening.
But I'm ignorant on who's gonna spend the money on it.
Sure. So most of it is equipment. So we worked with each three of the sites of what they needed. For example, Valley View and Milford, they're getting a screener. And the screener is actually a mobile screener, and they'll be able to share that with the other sites, but also other small composting that's happening. There's a lot of equipment that you would need for composting. Carriage Farms is getting a concrete pad so that, Greg's group will be happy with them when they're composting, and, there'll be less contamination or less, leachate. So really what they need, the Heights movement is one of the things that, they're struggling with is even though there's an industrial zoned area, they're fairly close to residents, and so they wanted to make sure that there was no odor. So they are doing, they got 2 small in-vessel composters that they're gonna start the material in and then move it on. So, really, just infrastructure, things that they needed to move forward. There's also a training component to the grant, which is a lot of our match. So we'll be, sending all the folks to various trainings to get their knowledge up so that they're operating correctly.
Michelle, will there be some testing of the finished compost?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, if they want to sell it, they have to test it.
Yeah.
If they, and we actually included testing in the budget. So if Carriage Farm wants to use it on their farm, they don't have to test it, but it's a best practice.
Yeah, right, only if it's gonna leave their property, they have to test it. But, yeah, just knowing that they know how to do it well is the key to make sure that we're growing that knowledge base in our region. Because you can make good bread or bad bread.
Yeah.
And so we want them to make the good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, great, thank you. The next item is the Waste Reduction Innovation Grant update.
And that's the last attachment. You can just see the 3 projects that we have funded, we last met. And the first one is the City of Cincinnati, Cincinnati Health Department and the Cincinnati Rec Centers are collaborating. They're gonna be putting in some refrigerators, freezers to have the rescue food from the soup available to residents in Avondale. And then Compi, I think I'm saying that right, they're interesting. This is not something that we funded before, but this is an innovation grant, so we're giving it a shot. They have technology that, we're hoping it's gonna be like a Fitbit for home composters that would encourage them to compost more and compost correctly. So we'll see how that goes. And then the Village of Mariemont is one of the few left, municipally run pools. They are, installing some water bottle refill stations to hopefully decrease the number of plastic water bottles. Good group of grants.
So I had one question on the first one.
Sure.
No, these are really just, so that's gonna be used to purchase, what you said, freezers or the equipment. But that equipment gets, well, I'm thinking of this week, that equipment gets multiple uses, just not the food that's incoming. Sources of food that.
I believe that the rec centers are only going to be using, I think LaSoup can provide them with enough rescue
got a lot.
food.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
that
impressive.
they.
Yeah, I think they did like over 1 million pounds rescued last year. I mean, it was like.
They're gonna have
crazy
signage
amount.
on them that is just,
Wow, really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's really impressive. Okay.
and it's good, must be good food, because I heard somebody tried to take a bunch of food and sell it.
Oh, God.
But they are, but they're self-policing now, and they stopped that right away.
Yeah.
But it's good stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
It is very tasty.
oh, I heard it is. You can buy it.
You can, and I recommend it.
And I do.
Great choices, those are
Yeah, these
really
are
interesting.
cool programs. All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay. Upcoming
upcoming meeting, we are off campus at the next meeting, going to.
On campus.
On campus.
Different campus,
Off and on.
put it that way.
At Xavier University, pretty excited about this meeting. So talk to us about, so we're gonna get a tour, is it before or after the meeting?
I'll let you all decide. It can be either before or after. I'm game for whatever.
Okay.
I'll be there all day anyway.
How long is the tour?
It's right across the street from the building we'll be meeting in, so, I mean, 20, 30 minutes, depending.
I would suggest after, since we've
Questions?
advertised that time and we'll have people on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause then it'll be more exact for
And
when
I
people
bet-
will be online.
Matt Waller won't be able to make it beforehand either. He'll be in school.
Yeah.
So,
After's a great
after
idea.
it's done, yeah, okay. Well, great, well, thank you for offering to take us on a tour, it's very exciting.
I like to show off stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
I will
good.
be bringing additional starch packages.
All right, is there anything else for the good of the cause? I actually have one thing. So I'm out visiting 49 jurisdictions right now. I know, right? And so, it's taking a while. But as I go, I try to, help communities understand the intersections between the county and Gulf Manor, or Anderson Township, or Lincoln Heights, or whatever. And so I pull up the list of ways that they have participated with the county in partnership in the past couple of years. This group, your grants are almost always on those lists. Whether it's a big place or a small place, they are not always aware of or utilizing other grants the county has available, but they are using these recycling grants. So kudos to you, and staff for pushing this out, the information out, because it is really enjoyable to see that they're getting these grants year after year, and it's making a difference in all these different communities, no matter what they look like, right? So I just wanted to compliment you on those efforts. So not hearing anything else, gonna entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All right, we're done, thank you.
Almost under an hour.
I'm telling